Welcome to another review from howtocigar.com. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Cody.
Today, we're reviewing the Arturo Fuente 858 in two different wraps.
Mine is the Candela, a lot like what we did in the last one, and his...
Mine is the 858 Ecuadorian Sungrown.
Yep.
The Flor Fina 858 is available essentially in four different variations. One variation is what you're going to be smoking tonight. That's the Connecticut Candela, and then of course there's the also natural Connecticut that's available.
Yep.
The Sungrown Ecuadorian that I'm smoking, and then there's also an African Cameroon. We thought it'd be interesting to contrast these two because essentially they're the same cigar underneath. Yeah, his wrap is from the North American continent. My wrap is from the South American continent, and they kind of meet in the middle in this Dominican Republic filler and binder. The name 858 is actually very interesting. It took a little bit of doing just trying to find out what does this mean. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about where that comes from?
Well, the meaning 858, you know, we're not real sure what the meaning is exactly, but we do know that it has to do with the blending techniques that the Fuente family uses to make this particular shape. So you see that beautiful shape there, and 858 is apparently a technique that's been passed down from generation to generation to generation. All right, what he's showing you here is his Ecuadorian wrapped 858. You can see that just very nice light oil on that wrap. You can see in the foot, the foots of these are going to be basically the same. That nice dark brown Dominican blend. He's going to move up here to show you the label here in just a second. And it is just a very simple but elegant Fuente wrap label. And then he's going to show you the cap of that cigar, which is a triple cap. And very nice, very well made as far as I can tell right now. Very looking forward to smoking both of these cigars. And here in a second, he's going to move on to the Candela. So this is the Candela Connecticut wrapped 858. Very similar label, but it has a green band across the bottom to kind of to go with that Connecticut wrap. You see the nice little, you can kind of see the veins and everything in this leaf because it's that more delicate green Candela wrap. Really pretty. You can see that same light, very light oil on it. And then notice how that foot, nice and dark. And here we're just going to give you a little comparison. This is what they look like side by side. Very, very different. Very different. That very bright green to that very dark brown. Couldn't be more different on the outside, but exactly the same on the inside. So far, it's really just kind of got that really bittery kind of taste to it. I have a feeling, you know, I've smoked these before. I have a feeling it's going to really settle in to its own, though, after about the first 3/4 of an inch or so, and not be quite so like that. But it starts off real bitter.
Yeah, mine, which I think is just typical to the Sungrown, was pretty bold. It had a pretty bold and pretty strong, I guess I would say, spice to it on that initial light. And I agree. It seems like maybe it's settling down a little bit, even already as I get going, or maybe just my taste buds are just adapting to it a little bit because it's really at that first burn, it's a pretty strong flavor for a cigar.
Yeah.
You know, the cigar is actually smoking really, really well. The ash looks good, and I got a good draw, and it's got a good burn on it. And you know, I just lit it with the wood stick match. It's treating me really well.
I have to say it's wrapped very well, constructed very well, and the striations are just beautiful in it.
Yeah, what are you getting out of the cigar for this halfway mark?
The initial bitterness is definitely worn off like I thought it might, and it's really turned into just quite the mellow cigar for this one personally. And I think that has a lot to do with that wrap as well, which you can taste. It is a little sweeter. You get a little sweet note every now and then, but you know, you can definitely taste that wrap. It is kind of, I always describe it as a little bit of a tea flavor that you don't get whenever you're smoking it, but after you know, the aftertaste, you kind of sense that little notes, kind of like you taste if you were drinking tea. What would you think about your soda?
Well, as far Sungrown cigar, usually not my favorite because they're kind of a harsher flavor. It seems like this one I actually really like. Like it's very similar smoking experience to what you're having. It seemed to mellow out, and it seems very mellow. It actually has a little bit of sweetness to it.
Really?
Just a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of that I guess you say earthy tones, that nutty tone,
Yeah.
a little bit that's back in there, some of those bitter notes. It's a very well balanced cigar.
Vanilla either. To just be honest, it's hard to complain about. It's a good solid smoke, mild to medium because of that wrap is a little different, but yeah, very good smoke.
Now last week we reviewed the Illusion 888 and the Candela.
Yes.
How do you think this one compares?
I actually think it's very, very similar.
Really?
Oddly enough, yeah. That was a Nicaraguan Puro. This one has a lot of Dominican in it, but it still got that really light flavor that I get from a Candela. The Candela wrap is very, very similar, and it's not Nicaraguan at all. None of this cigar is Nicaraguan, but it does taste very similar to that Illusion 888.
This 858 is in the middle of this Gran Reserve line, which is kind of really the hallmark of the Arturo Fuente cigar line. So you can pick up, for the most part, most of these cigars, maybe various wraps, but it's essentially the same blend. In different sizes are available in the Gran Reserve. This is just a particular part of the Gran Reserve line, which is the 858 Flor Fina. Just wanted to show you something kind of interesting. I got my cigar here at the local humidor, our local tobacco shop, and we always support our local merchants, but unfortunately, in order to do this review, we were unable to get his locally, so we went online.
Yep.
And if that's something you're interested in, he just wanted to share a little bit, why don't you share with us a little bit of that process and how it went for you?
Yeah, I found this great site online. It is actually, the name of the site is famoussmoke.com. I just want to show you what it looks like whenever you get this order. I ordered 5 of these for about $20, so their prices are just fantastic, really. And it comes in a box like this. You open it up, you're gonna get your little sheet here, your little
It's an invoice.
your little invoice. It comes with a catalog, so you don't have to go online anymore. You can just order it like that. There you go. And that's what it looks like. Very nice. I looked through it. I'm really excited to kind of just look through it a little more in depth. And then I'll show you right here. This is how your cigars will come. It's almost like they're just just floating in air. It's fantastic. You look in there, you actually can see the little pack right there with my cigars, and they're perfectly kept. I couldn't complain at all about the quality or the just the flavor or anything. Nothing's wrong with these cigars. You can definitely trust them to ship them and make sure that they get to you in good shape and at the right humidity and everything.
As always, like I said, we want to support our local businesses. We urge you to support your local business. But if you want to step out a little bit and pick up some different things, and maybe that's just not there at your local shop,
Yeah.
I've always been leery of ordering cigars online because you get something authentic. Is it what you're really ordering? How is it going to come? Is it going to be dried out? How is it going to be shipped? And it's just something that we've never experienced. And I would say that, would you say this was a good experience for you?
I can't be more pleased, honestly. This is just really, really a good experience. All right, we're back, and we're just about to get ready to discuss the finish of this cigar. What would you think the body of the cigar? How would you rate it?
As far as what it is, mine is just definitely a solid medium-bodied cigar, very pleasant smoke. And what about yours?
Well, mine is a mild to medium, I would say. Not a full medium by any means, and I think that definitely has to do with the Connecticut Candela wrapper, which I've got nothing to complain about. It's very, very well done and very well rolled. So let's move on to the build of this cigar.
Yeah.
What would you rate the cigar for its build?
Well, this is how the cigar broke down for me.
Mm-hmm.
First off, the draw was great. A little bit on the lighter side, but
Same here.
perfectly acceptable. I mean, I never really was thinking about the draw. It just smoked really well. The burn line was not just a perfect burn line like we got with the Arturo Fuente Opus X, but definitely acceptable.
Yeah.
I didn't have any runners to speak of. I stayed pretty close, but it wasn't 100% perfect. The ash was strong and held together well. So overall, I'd say the construction of the cigar, honestly, is probably like 7.5 for me.
Really? Well, mine was a little different. I did have a runner or two, but they did eventually kind of catch up to each other and kind of balanced out. You can see I've got kind of a little swoopy burn there. It's not perfectly razor cut like the Opus X was, but not bad. Can't complain a whole lot. It was wrapped very well. The ash on mine was just really great. Striations were fantastic, and held together very well, and the draw was fantastic, just almost exactly like yours because it is essentially the same cigar. So I would have to say for this one, I think probably just because the wrap's a little different, it burns a little differently, and I would have to give it a 7 just because those were little runners,
The Ecuadorian wrap, once again, we're smoking essentially the same cigar. Typical Dominican filler binder, which was really good. Had, I think that's where that woodsy, earthy taste comes from. A little bit of that bitterness, which is, really good if you like a Dominican cigar. Does have that Ecuadorian sun-grown wrap, which gives it just a hint of spice and just a little bit of sweetness. I really like the taste of the cigar. I would say for me, it is subjective. Probably, there's really nothing to complain about, honestly. It could be an 8. For me, I'd say it's probably a 7.5. It's not as complex as, say, the Double Crown Newman Caesar that I smoked earlier today, which had I just was smoking it, I was like, wow, it's got a very distinct taste. None of that, but it's a very pleasant smoke, very creamy, as you said, and, probably in that 7.5, 8 range for me.
I have to just give the finish as good a rating as the rest of it. I give the finish about an 8, 8.5. Just because it is just consistent after that first initial burn.
Yeah, I have to completely agree. The end of this cigar, so much can be said and determined from how good a cigar is from that last bit and how it finishes up. And this cigar finished out great. It ran home.
Yeah.
It was just a good smoke, and I agree. Probably an 8 on the finish. One of the strongest finishers that I've smoked.
Yep.
It was a thoroughly enjoyable cigar in that last half. And it did really.
What do you think for our cigars value-wise? What do you think?
Honestly, the value of these cigars is sick. It is a ridiculous value.
Yeah.
You were in at around $4 because you got them at such a fantastic price, but even from local humidor, they're about $4.75. My particular stick runs about $5.75, and that's really unreal. This could definitely be your go-to cigar. It's a really, really good smoke. It smoked well all the way through. I think the value is really outstanding. Well, maybe one of the best value cigars, honestly, that I've smoked.
My cigar, I would have to say it rates at about a 7. It's definitely a Category 3 cigar. I just wish it had a little more of a complexity to it, or a little more of just something. It just didn't quite make it up there any higher. Definitely Category 3, definitely a great value and a great buy, and definitely something I think you should have around.
That wraps up this review for the Arturo Fuente Gran Reserva Flor Fina 858 in the Connecticut Candela and the Ecuadorian Sun-Grown wrap. I would like to thank all our fans from around the world for being so supportive and subscribing to our channel. And you can also find us on
Facebook or Google+. You can go there, leave questions, comments, recommendations for new videos. You can also leave those right down below, and we'll get right back to you. And as always, go out, pick up some of these cigars for your own, and keep them in your humidor. And just have a great day.
Have a nice day.